Hey, what's up, everybody? Your boy JC. Everyday Thoughts is in the building. Everybody gather around. Hope everybody's having a good and blessed night. And tonight's topic is understanding men and mental health. So, special guest with me tonight, Miss April herself. I'm pleased to join. We're joined by her again. What's going on, Tawana? Miss Covington, how's everybody doing? Yeah, I see you. Hey, what's up?
Hey, you sound muffled though.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff in the background.
You sound like I got stuff in the background.
Yeah.
Okay, let me turn off my phone. Is that better?
No, you got headphones?
I should put in my headphones.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try that.
What's going on, Liz? How's everybody doing tonight?
Is my phone making that noise or yours? Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, a lot better.
Okay. Was that my phone or yours making that noise?
No, that was your phone.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you again. How's everything doing?
Everything's doing okay. Everything's okay. How are you?
I'm good. Blessed and highly favored. So let's get into it. Introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm April. What do you want me to? Okay, I'm a mental health therapist, first of all, and I'm a teacher, eighth grade social studies. So I have experience in mental health, so that's going to be one of our subjects that we're going to get into.
And also understanding men. So, I know
Yeah,
you
we
come
we
here.
gonna we gonna start out by understanding men because I heard a lot of women on your page, they want to understand men, but they're trying to understand men from a female's perspective, and you can't do that because men are not like us at all. Although some women would like to think that they are, they really not. So I'm not gonna really tell them. I'm gonna have you tell them. I'm gonna have you explain it more clearly because I think that'll really help them. But I know how to ask you the proper questions so you can explain it to them so that they'll be able to understand.
Yeah, and like
Okay?
one of the questions that, yeah, I mean, one question was, why do men lie about their intentions? Why aren't they straightforward? They just want sex. Why don't they just say they want sex instead of just trying to,
Hmm.
beat around the bush or try to
And
go on all
we
these dates, etc.
and
Um,
not to cut you off, but we have a slightly different perspective about that because I heard your perspective My perspective about that is men, they like sex, but they like a challenge because that's exciting, right? Who is kind of boring when someone just gives you sex and you can just get it and it's no challenge or whatever. Am I right or am I wrong?
It all depends on the woman, but
Okay, would you prefer someone that challenges you or someone that doesn't?
I'd rather a challenge. I'd rather,
Right. And I
uh,
and I think and no, hold on, I'm just trying to I think most men prefer a challenge. So they're not mad when a woman resists. That actually excites them and they like that challenge, but it doesn't change their goal. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I need for women to understand. Men are they're okay with you challenging them, but if you still give it up just because they did things to get it more than they did it with other people does not mean their feelings are deeper. It just means it was exciting, it was fun for them. They faced a little challenge, they faced a little adversity, they overcame, and they met their goal. You know, men like that type of stuff. Am I right or am I wrong?
yeah, 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 you're right.
Right, right, right. And so another woman, a couple women on your post said, "Why do men lie about sex?" Um, because they want the specific woman they're trying to go after, and they think by telling that specific woman the truth that there's a chance that they might not get her. I'm not saying that they won't get her, but there's a chance, so they don't even want to risk it. Am I right or am I wrong about that?
Oh no, you're right about that.
Right. So that's why they lie. And then women say, "Well, I just want sex too, so why would they lie to me?" Because they don't know that. They don't know and they don't want to risk that. You see what I'm saying? Even when women say that's all they want, a lot of women lie about that. And the reason why I say they lie about that, I'm not saying they're lying when they tell it. However, men have experienced women who said they just want sex too. And then they have sex with that woman and she develops feelings. So men look at that as a lie because a lot of women do lie to themselves about that. I'm not saying it's intentional. It's what you call it subconscious lying. They think that they're capable of not developing feelings, but then they still do and they can't control that. So that's why men was like they don't got time for that. You see what I'm saying? And men, they like to broaden their pool of women that they can get. So they don't just want to have sex with women who just want to have sex. They want to have sex with all type of women, good girls, um, you know, stuck up girls, whatever. You see what I'm saying? They want those women too. So that's why that they lie and they don't have time to figure out when they're on their mission, oh, should I lie to her? Should I not? They don't have time for that. So they just lie to everybody across the board and they keep it consistent just to stay on their mission. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, you're right. But I feel like
Right.
you being the, oh, my fault. Go on.
Go ahead. No, it's your turn.
No, I was just saying. No, you're good. No, I'm just saying though. I mean, I feel like not a lot of men are actually seeing. They've been taught to be, you gotta lie, you gotta deceive a woman to get some play. But you being a man, just know who you are. I know if you know you just want to hook up, you want friend with benefits, then you have to let her know up front. That way, it gives her decision to pick and choose that what she wants. But also, you were right though, as far
Mm-hmm.
as women's get emotionally attached to the situation because they may be cool with just having sex, but over a period of time, she may want something more, but that's not what they agreed to in the beginning. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something you have to be cautious of too. If you're a woman too, you just want to have sex too, and not really get all emotional about the situation or thinking that's more than what it was, or more than what it is.
Mm-hmm. Now, like I said, I if women say that they can have sex without getting emotional, I have to take their word at face value. I can't do that, so I'm not going to pretend like that I can do that because I can't. Because sex is a very well, I'm constantly in a state of emotion as a human being. Period. So I try to use positive emotions as much as possible, but I'm never without emotions. And when I have sex, the emotions that I already have intensify. You see, because me personally, I don't think humans are without emotions ever at any point in life. I think that you can learn to control your emotions, and I think that you can suppress your emotions. And I think a lot of people suppress their emotions. I think men are more equipped, better designed to be able to suppress their emotions, but men are emotional too. But You guys are just better able to suppress your emotions during sex and all that type of stuff. Because, and the reason why you guys are better able, because you're taught how to do that from a young age. I was hearing women talk about how we teach men, young boys, that they shouldn't cry and all that stuff. So you guys are taught how to suppress your emotions. So that's why you're better able to have sex and suppress those emotions, but they're there, you're just suppressing them. So women are not taught how to suppress their emotions, so it's harder for women to be able to do that. Either way, to me, it's not healthy, but that's just my opinion. People are going to live their own lives, but I don't think it's healthy to have sex with anybody without emotions, because eventually you'll come to the point where that's all you'll be able to do, and you won't be able to bring your emotions into sex like it should be there. And then you're going to be dysfunctional, and you're not going to be able to be with one person and share that intimacy on the intimacy level. So I just want people to be careful as far as having emotionalist sex, because just be careful with it. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, like I said, you made some good points. As far as just being, having emotional sex, sometimes you want to have, you want to have purpose. Whether you wait for marriage or not, you want to be you with someone that
Hmm.
satisfies you, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually as well too. You want to be able to grow with that person. But like I
Hmm.
said, you have to understand what you want in a situation, whether it's sex or a relationship. And I'll say just have honor, integrity, and just tell the person that you want. Don't lead them on. Don't try to sell no dreams. Like just be honest up front. The way y'all both know where y'all are at, where y'all stand at. So
Hmm.
that's what I'm all about, having honor, integrity.
Right, right, right. And to get back to the original topic that we were talking about, but I hear everything you say and I'm feeling what you're saying. However, I think women should spend more time trying to figure out themselves rather than just trying to figure out men. Okay, a man's purpose, his primary purpose is have sex with you. Period. Regardless if he's getting ready to settle down or not. So if you understand that, then you'll understand all that you need to understand. And men are very simple. Humans are very simple, actually. They will do what they're able to get away with. That's not just with relationships, but with life. Period. I'm the same way as a human being. If I can get away with it, most of the time I try to get away with it. The only thing is when it comes to integrity for me personally, but not everybody has integrity. But for me personally, if it's going to compromise my integrity or if it's going to hurt someone else, then I'm not going to try to get away with it. But I try to get away with what I can get away with. I'm not going to even lie about that. That's how 90% of humans are, if not more than that. So if we focus on, as women, developing our standards and not allowing things that we don't like, it won't matter why men do the things they do, because they wouldn't be doing what we don't want them to do to us. So that's why, me personally, I don't worry about why men do what they do. That's something that's for them to understand, to be honest with you. Not for me to understand. What I worry about is what I allow someone to do to me. That's my worry. And I try to adjust that as it goes on, like, because I'm not perfect. I allow things that I shouldn't allow. And then when I recognize it, I correct it and I try to improve on it. And that's what I think women should focus on, and what I want women to focus on, what they allow a man to do to them, because you have to allow it, because nobody has a gun to your head, period. So I understand that women, because we think like that, I think like that too, being a woman. We want some sort of, what you call it, like rhyme or reason. We want some sort of poetic meaning to something. But with men, you guys don't think like that. Am I right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right.
Right. You guys think of more simplistic. You guys are less complicated as human beings, so you don't think about, you know, connections and all that type of stuff. So they're looking for something that doesn't exist. It's really simple. Men pretty much, from what I've seen, will do what you allow them to do. Now, like I said, there is exceptions to that. Like you said, you have integrity. So even if a woman allows you to do certain things, you won't do it because of your integrity. So that's the only difference that separates men. Some men have integrity and some don't. So some men will do to you whatever you allow them to do because they don't have integrity. Other men will do what you allow them to do, but there are certain things that they won't do because of their integrity. So that's all pretty much you need to know about a man or humans, period. Like I will do to somebody what they will allow me to do, but I have integrity that prevents me from doing certain things to certain, to people. So that's all because you let them. And if they did something dirty to you, they didn't have integrity to stop them from doing that. You see what I'm saying? So it's really simple. So what I want my black women to do is focus on be treated because we all don't want to be treated the same, but focus on how you want to be treated, and then ensure that the person knows that, because if they don't know that, they can't treat you like that. But ensure that they know that, vocalize it, and hold them to it. And if they don't do it, you got to leave them alone, at the end of the day. So, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, hold people accountable. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
don't ignore red flags. Don't ignore. Don't let nobody change your standards or what you expect out of somebody. So, and
Mm-hmm.
don't sit there and try to compromise. Know who you are, know your worth. A lot of times, men and women, get in situations that's uncalled for because we don't know we don't love ourselves. We're not comfortable being alone. We're not comfortable on just being freely. So a lot of times we just hang on to toxic people and because we're not
Right.
really in love with ourselves. And a lot of times we just like to add on to
Mm-hmm.
people's misery because we're not happy with ourselves and we're just accepting the BS because we're not fully capable of loving ourselves. We feel like we're unloved.
Mm-hmm.
We have negative self talk. And we don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like we deserve anybody, good or bad. So that's why we tend
Right.
to deal with the toxicity.
Mm-hmm. And this brings us to our next topic. But like I said, that was just a recap. I wanted women to understand that men are very simple. They're not as complicated as us. And that's just the basic design. Men are definitely more simple. Not to say that that they're not intelligent and stuff like that. But when it comes to why they do the things they do, they're really more simple than we are. We're a lot more complex, and that's just by design. And I gather the reason that we're more complex is because you have to be more complex to nurture. So we're more nurturer. So we need to be more complex in order to nurture. So men want sex. Oh yeah, there's one more thing that I want to end with that. Men want sex. That's their main goal, regardless if they're ready to settle down or not, and they will do what you allow them to do, period. Now, some of them do not do certain things to women because of their integrity. So that's just the recap. And there's one more thing that I want to mention. I don't forgot I had a brain loss. It's late at night for me.
You said what now?
I said there's one more thing that I want to mention, but I don't have my brain lapse. Anyway, okay, we can move on to the next subject, which is mental health, because I'm upset I forgot what I want to talk about, but that's okay. So
It's all
mental
good.
health, yeah.
It's all good.
so so mental health is definitely tied in to trying to understand men, because as you know, men and women are walking around with mental illness heavy in our community, and it's a number of reasons, due to historical trauma, present day trauma, absentee parents, the environment, the violent environments that we grow up in, the sexual abuse that both men and women face in our communities, physical abuse, a lot of things, racism. I can't forget that. So a lot of black people in America have severe mental illness, um, and that affects our relationships with each other, being able to understand each other. So yeah, how do you feel about that?
About us, about what now? About mental health.
Yeah, mental health in our community.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like a lot of it has to do with childhood trauma. A lot of men and women that are suffering in darkness. A lot of depression, a lot of suicidal thoughts. It's just sad that a lot of times, you see people that are smiling, you may have nice cars, nice job, you may want that life on the outside, but you don't know what that person had to do to obtain the situation or the resources that they already accumulated. So you don't really know
Hmm.
what it takes. You don't know what that person is doing day to day to maintain their lifestyle.
Right. And like you said, depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, but also post traumatic stress disorder is major in our community. And that's from, domestic violence, childhood sexual abuse, childhood physical abuse. So a lot of people have PTSD, and don't realize it, and they comfort themselves via promiscuity, a lot of times, substance abuse, whether it's alcohol, drugs, things of that nature, smoking cigarettes. A lot of people can't, because of their PTSD, they have to smoke a cigarette every hour on the hour. Obesity is another symptom of PTSD and other mental illnesses. So you can see it in our community, with the severe obesity, the severe substance abuse, and especially promiscuity. I think promiscuity is the number one coping mechanism for mental illness. A lot of people might not agree with me on that, but it is what it is, because I feel that when you're mentally healthy, you wouldn't want to share yourself with just anybody. And not to say that you have to wait until marriage to be mentally healthy. I'm not saying that, but you're not going to be reckless with who you have sex with when you're mentally healthy. So that's all I'm saying in regards to that. Now, as far as the solutions, I feel, what do you feel are some of the solutions? Let me ask you first.
You said what now?
What do you feel are some of the solutions to the mental illness problem in our community?
I mean, get treatment as far as trying to get therapy, get help. Always have a support system, strong family system. Like I said, there's doctor, there's psychiatrists out here, but you got to be the one to make the first step to make the move. So, a lot of it has to do with you making the first move. There's people out there, there's resources out there, but you have to, put your pride, your ego to the side, and actually understand that you do need help and go out there and seek it.
Mm-hmm. And you're definitely correct. As a part of my training as a mental health therapist, I had to go through mental health therapy, and it was one of the best experiences that I had. Um, like I said, I don't really want to go into details, but it really reshaped my mind as far as life and the way that I view life. So that's, that can help you. And like I said, just because you go to a therapy does not mean that you have a severe mental illness or mental illness at all. It's good just to go there, period, whether you're stuck as far as where you want to go in life and stuff like that. Um, Having negative thoughts, if you want to manage anything in your life, that's definitely a place that you need to go. And you don't have to go to individual therapy. They got group therapy where you don't have to do a one on one thing if that's not what you want to do. But aside from therapy, there are a bunch of ways to manage your mental health. Um, the second most important way to manage your mental health is diet. We got to definitely learn to start focusing on our diets. And I'm not trying to tell anybody how to eat specifically, but we all know what's healthy and what's unhealthy. So we got to start watching what we put in our bodies, because it does affect your mental health. A lot of people are not aware, but the food that you eat directly affects your mental health. It does. So you really got to be cognizant and aware of the things that you're putting in your body. So, not saying that you can't splurge on bad stuff every now and then, but you got to balance it out with the good stuff, or you have a heart attack by 40, like a lot of people are in our generation, because they just refuse to put nutrients that you need in your body. So what I'm saying is that we got to focus on putting the nutrients that we need in our body to be physically and mentally healthy. And then if you want, your little dessert on the side, then you can have that. But you got to put the nutrients in there first. You see, now what we're doing is we're putting all junk in our, primarily junk, and you can't do that and be mentally healthy. So that's another thing that people don't want to talk about. The food you eat will and definitely will impact, scientifically proven to impact your mental health. But people don't want to talk about that. Also, exercise impacts your mental health. Another thing that people don't want to talk about. If you don't exercise, it will impact your mental health because exercise releases serotonin, which makes you happy. You see, even though you don't want to exercise afterwards, if you feel bad after you exercise, you're not human because you're going to feel good after you exercise, whether you're hurting, whether you're tired or not, if you really exercise. So, diet and exercise will definitely improve your mental health for sure. Now, like I said, I know I'm being realistic here. I know that people are still going to want to do, the bad stuff, and that's okay. But you got to fuel your body with the good stuff first to protect it, and then you can have, your splurge or whatever here and there. So we gotta really be smart about this. You know, how do you feel about diet and exercise?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's always important to go out there and exercise, even if it's like a lap a day. Try to make sure you're eating right. Fast food, all the takeout food. I mean, nothing wrong with trying to learn how to cook or just prepare a meal, twice, 3 times a week, or try to bring something healthy for lunch. Always be open-minded for new things, new ingredients, and new kind of nutrition, too. So, you
Mm-hmm.
always just want to be healthy. Always make sure your mind's healthy too. Because all the time we focus on the physical, but mentally is
Mm-hmm.
was what's most important too.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's the fourth key that I want to talk about: learning how to manage your stress. Learning how to
No,
manage your stress. That's what I struggle with because when someone does something that bothers me or my students, I feel it physically, and we have to learn to manage that. We have to learn to manage our stress. I do breathing techniques when I start to get anxious and stuff like that. Do you hear that playback, or is that just me?
no, yeah, you good.
Okay, because I'm hearing my playback in my ear. I don't know what that's about.
Oh no, you good.
Okay. It's kind of hard to talk when I hear myself talking at the same time.
Oh wow.
Anyway, as I was saying, we got to start to learn to manage our stress. Okay, we got to start to manage our stress levels through deep breathing techniques, through changing our thought process from negative to positive. I struggle with that, thinking negative thoughts. And so I try to block out the negative thoughts to positive, make them positive. So anytime that I get a negative thought or I start to think negative, I try to block it out and say, no, this is not going to be productive to my mental health. And so, therefore, I need to change my negative thoughts to positive thoughts, not just with life, but relationships too. Because a lot of black people think negatively about relationships, about each other. So we need to start thinking more positively about each other, about relationships, myself included, because that affects your mental health when you're always negative about the world, about your environment, about relationships, about black people, each other. When you always do that, it will affect your mental health as well. So there's nothing wrong with talking about the facts like we're doing today. But we also got to talk about the solutions, and we also got to be positive sometimes. That's why when I catch myself talking about the ailments in the black community, I try to watch myself and be like, hey, I talked about these ailments. Let me throw something, positive, some progress that we're making to balance my mental health out and to balance, my vibrations, what I send out in the world. So it's just about balance.
Yeah, and also having a peace of mind. A
Right.
lot of times you're overworked. Maybe you have to deal with kids, you have to deal with family. And you just have to find that place where you're free or you can feel comfortable being yourself and being your own zone, whether it's getting a massage, whether it's going out there traveling,
Mm-hmm.
whatever your zone is, you need to go out there and do it. And maybe a lot of times uninterrupted time for yourself too. Don't always do stuff for everybody else because that's gonna put a lot of stress and more of a hangover to you. Try to make sure you take care of yourself too. It's not all about giving all your energy to everybody else, and you're not, getting the same reciprocation for your own lifestyle.
Right. Traveling is important, like you said. I'm glad you brought that up. Traveling is very important, but not only traveling, but taking the time to actually enjoy life. A lot of black people do not take the time to enjoy life because they work too much. So that's another topic that we're going to get into as far as why we work so much, like we shouldn't have to. There's a lot of reason behind that, but we'll get into that another time. But we need to take time to enjoy life as much as possible, not just work, but to enjoy life, because I don't think we do that enough as a people. But before
Yeah.
we close, are there? Go ahead.
No, go on. You good?
No, I was going to say before we close, I remembered what I wanted to mention earlier because I think women are a lot of times confused. This is going back to the original topic, the first topic, as far as understanding men. A lot of women are confused about why men choose to settle down and stuff like that. So I've been married. I've been married before. I've had several proposals and things like that. So I think that I have a key to that as far as why men choose to settle. I do. I think I have a key
No,
to
you good. You good.
why men choose to settle down. I think a lot of men choose to settle down. Number one, like you said, it's connections and all that type of stuff. But even if they connect with a woman, if they don't feel like the woman values herself, 9 times out of 10, he will not marry her. So I think the key to getting a man to want to settle down with you is valuing yourself. And when you value yourself, then they will value you. But a lot of times a man might feel you and want to marry you, but you don't value yourself enough to inspire that in him. Because at the end of the day, women want to get married more than men, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like people think there's something wrong with that. No, it's not nothing wrong with that. We're just different. It doesn't mean that men are less than because they don't see the purpose in being married like women see the purpose. It just means that women and men are different mentally. So we can see the purpose and they might not see the purpose. So it's to me, it's our job to inspire them to see the purpose and value in that by valuing yourselves and showing what you're worth and what you want, commanding that. So to me, that's the only reason and difference between women who don't get married or don't get proposed to and women that do. Women that get proposed to value themselves and inspire a man to want to marry them because she values themselves. I'm sorry, because she values herself. So that was my perspective on that. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, you have like more standards, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that you guys know who you are is what a man really looks for, And like I said, a lot of times you see situations where a person is in a relationship 5 to 10 years, haven't settled down, then he'll get with the next woman, he'll settle down within 3 4 months. So it all depends
Mm-hmm.
on, y'all compatible for each other, and as far as timing has to be right too, you know.
Okay. Well, I think we did pretty good today,
Yeah,
don't
I
you?
appreciate. Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate you joining me
and I'm
tonight.
sorry if I sound crazy, but the everything that we're saying is playing back in my ear at the
Oh
same
wow.
time. So it's like I'm trying to compete with the playback, and it just sounds crazy. So I apologize if I sound crazy.
Oh no, you good. I mean, I always
Okay, well,
appreciate you
good.
joining me.
I just tried to
Uh,
work through it.
no, you're good. I said I always appreciate you. Anything else you want to talk about as far as any more topics in the near future? I mean, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna think of some topics. We do another show tomorrow, earlier in the day, so we can have more guests asking questions and stuff.
Around what time?
Let's see what time. Probably like around 9 o'clock your time. Probably be better.
It's at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, Eastern time. Cause I'm
Okay,
Central time.
I know.
Okay, we'll talk about it later then.
All right. You take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
All right, peace. All right, thank everybody for tuning in. Any kind of debate, any kind of discussion, let me know. Everyday Thoughts JC, judge free platform, so I love all kind of debate. Make sure y'all share this video. Make sure y'all check me on YouTube, Everyday Thoughts JC. The link is above you. So until next time, y'all have a blessed one. I'm out. Peace.